go. Thanks, Travis, so much. I appreciate this opportunity. If you notice, pay no attention to the rustling in the curtain. There could be a baby back there. Yes, it's part of handling working from home as a mompreneur. I'm sure many of you out there can relate to the obstacles that we face every day, but we are resilient, right? We are resilient. And how many of you want to be more memorable in this digital age? By show of hands. I can't even see you, but I'm sure you're out there raising your hands, right? And why not participate? Because we have an opportunity to really make a difference. I agree, Ariel says. And why is that important to be a better storyteller? Because we want to be visible. We want to be visible. We want to be memorable. And I was telling Travis, I wear specifically a hair flower, a fun flower. I think it makes people smile, makes people laugh. And that's the kind of impression that I want to create. A more fun, vibrant, joyful, my nickname's Joyful Jennie. And how that shows up for me, I'm a photographer and videographer. And it's important, as we all entrepreneurs look at the splash, the memorability, the visibility. I teach a lot about storytelling and how that's important for video. But first, I want you to take a look at your audience. It's important for you to know your audience, right? Know your audience. Who are you speaking to? Who's your ideal client? If you're a digital marketer, you're going to be communicating and telling stories completely differently if you're talking to millennials versus the elderly. So you need to know your audience, and that's going to help you really craft your story, what kind of story to tell. And telling a story, why is this telling a story important? How many of you have a story in your memory from a grandparent or a family member from generations ago that was passed on? And even if that family member is not around anymore, that story is still in your memory, right? You might have told that story to other people. I agree, Ariel. It's true. And the most important, the first step in the storytelling key is to add value. Add value. Because why tell a story about something that there's really no point, right? You want to add value, and you want to think about values with that. What is the value of your prospective client? Now, you might have a pen and paper nearby. You might be shouting out in your head these values that come to you. Perhaps it's honesty. Perhaps it's customer service, loyalty, longevity. If I was telling a story about childbirth, well, how would that relate to my business? Oh, the pain. I almost couldn't handle the pain, but I was resilient. I decided I was going to go through childbirth naturally with no drugs. And I made that commitment to myself and the health of my child and had focus because I am resilient. Now, how could that little story, just a little snippet, make a difference in connecting with your audience? Well, maybe they are soon to be mothers or parents, and maybe they could relate to that. That is important because all of these little values help you create more certainty with your prospective clients. And that is how they make decisions to take action to hire you, to buy your product or your service. And they want to develop certainty. So we create stories based on that. And we start with our greeting, our greeting of having a warm, pay no attention to the baby behind the curtain, a warm greeting. Like we're greeting a friend. Maybe you're telling your story in line at the grocery store behind your mask. Maybe you are talking to a friend on the phone, a neighbor on the sidewalk, or maybe you're on stage and you're sharing your story. There are so many opportunities for you to use your story and come across as authentic, vulnerable, and a genuine storyteller. No matter how many years you've been telling a story. You want to say hi? I know you've been dying to get on camera. Yes, my little. You like visibility? Yep, starting them young. So, the why is important. We all like to look back at Simon Sinek's famous TED Talk about why. Why do we tell stories? Well, I was just in a great conversation earlier today about why it's important for us to share our message, to make a difference in the world, to create connection. Connection. Even if we're in completely different states, like right now, or across the globe, it's important to create connection, and you can do that so powerfully with storytelling. So think about your why, the why of your message. Maybe it's to sell your product or service. Obviously, we're on social media, we're on all these different platforms. We might be, creating videos. We might be creating social media posts with stories. There are so many ways that you can use this valuable tool in what you're already doing for your marketing. But I believe for me personally, it is vital for me to be sharing a message that is helping make the world a better place. And I do that personally through helping empower people to have more confidence in front of the camera so that they can share their message and be powerful light workers as well, make a difference in the world. So I get to use my tools, and that just fills up my cup, makes me feel joyful for every day that I get to do this for the last 14 years. So that is, as I mentioned, important to create more certainty. Something that I just mentioned, longevity. Certainty can also be a derivative of experience. You want to start with that visibility, which leads to credibility, which leads to profitability. And how many of you want to be more profitable in 2021? Yes. 2 hands up. So profitability can totally come from that 14 years of experience, or however many years of experience or maybe training that you have received. And if I was just going to say, I've been in business for 14 years, I've done X number of weddings and events, I've had this many clients, blah, 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 blah. It comes across as being kind of stale, or like a used car salesman-ish. We don't want that, right? We want to be telling our story with vibrancy, with joy, with fun, and that is really what is going to create that memorability and that certainty. Now, creating stories around that help you share. Oh, by the way, I've been in business this long. Or by the way, when I was working with my corporate client, Kaiser Permanente, and I had this experience photographing 150 employees at an offsite training day. Da, 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 da. See how just that intro just adds credibility, right? Because you're telling the story, and then you could be even leading into the client experience. Oh, they were nervous in front of the camera. Many of them said, oh, I just hate getting my photo taken. Oh, it's just, I didn't even want to show up today, but my supervisor made me. And then after I showed them the photo, they were like, wow, I actually look good. Wow, that's a good smile. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, I think I'm going to share this on LinkedIn. That's cool. Ah! Testimonial, client success story. Doesn't it feel great? So creating that level of certainty for your prospective clients is huge. Now, you want to start by leading with the problem. This is kind of helping you map out your story. So this is a next key of leading with the problem. What's their problem? What's the problem that you are going to solve for them? Is it, for instance, for me, someone that hates getting their photo taken, someone that does not feel comfortable in front of the camera, does not like their smile, doesn't like their teeth, something like that. That's their problem. They've avoided getting their headshot photo since like 1982, and their photo on the business card doesn't even look like them because they had hair. I don't know. So that's what you want to lead with, the problem, because that's going to hook your audience. And you're already going to know your audience, right? You're going to know what they're looking for. So take a look at what the problems are. Start with the problem. And then I want you to think about what's the point? What's the point of your story? What's the end goal of your story? Develop expertise, communicate honesty, or whatever that value is for you. As we're talking right now, I want you to just kind of jot down or, type into the chat if there's certain values that you want to communicate. And as Travis mentioned, we're going to do some Q&A later. So I'm really curious to know if there's certain story ideas that you have or certain insights that I can help you with, because I love getting creative and I love kind of channeling ideas as they come to me. So just go ahead and kind of jot that down if it comes to you. So one of the things that I teach about is a story arc. A story arc. And if you haven't heard of a story arc, it's really, it's a way that we can create a story that creates more engagement with the viewer. It creates more memorability as well. And, kind of the basics are there's an incident, there's an obstacle, there's a midpoint where the transformation happens, there's the climax. And I also teach about the hero's journey story. Hero's journey is something that it's a way that people tell stories. A lot of Hollywood movies are based on the hero's journey story. And we don't have enough time to go into all that, but I do want to mention that there's basically a lot of different ways that you can tell your story. But again, we want to bring them back to certainty that they know you're the right one to work with, say if you have a product or service. And I also teach about 9 gates of customer commitment. And we don't have time to teach all of these right now, but what's important is it's going to help, the 9 gates are going to help your prospective client have more certainty in relation to authenticity, believability, credibility, the feasibility of the relationship, the customized solution, the safety, the comfort with understanding, the superiority, and the value. Comes back to value. I love talking about value. I have many, many values that are important. And why I keep mentioning that is because that is vital for your story, again, to be memorable. And an important factor in this is the third key, which is brevity. That's the length of your story. You're not going to be like, okay, what time is it? Go. Ramble, 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 tangent, tangent, ramble, ramble. The person, you've totally lost the person because they've tuned out. They're on their cell phone. They are surfing. They're scrolling. You've got to be brief. You've got to keep it brief for people's attention spans, especially if they're working from home. And clarity, you want to have clarity of your message. So again, that comes down to like, what's the point of this message? To teach them X. And value, coming back to value, you're going to add massive value. You're going to help them find a solution to their problem. You are the solution, the person they've been waiting for all their life. They must hire you now. And that's going to create impact. And impact is vital because obviously we want to get them to take action, to call you up, and to hire you. So, and the last part, train. Train, 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 train. This is kind of the fourth key. We want to be training our storytelling, not just winging it. You got to train it. So start training your storytelling in that little green dot there on your phone or your computer, recording yourself, listening to yourself, working with a coach, talking to a best friend, getting some feedback. This is important. So as I mentioned, our 3 steps, our 3 keys: adding value with our storytelling, leading with our problem, our brevity plus clarity plus value equals impacts, yes, and train, train, train. So I'm looking forward to hearing what comes up for you. What came up for you, post it in the Q&A. And I look forward to learning more about your storytelling and maybe an opportunity to give you some feedback and help spice it up and make it fun and memorable so you can go out and create a bigger impact. Thanks.